Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Plastic Surgery Perspective. My name is Ebony, aka the Unicorn Nurse,
And I am Nurse Fonda, aka Nurse Fonda LLC.
and we are here with Dynzell.
Dynzell in the flesh.
Long time no see. So tell us what's been going on. So let me tell you, first of all, so like last year, one of my exes sent me a link to this guy that was going viral for height surgery. And I looked at the video and I'm like, wait, I know this guy. He was like, you lying, Eb. I'm like, no, I really know this guy. So tell us about that.
It's been a crazy process. So I actually just hit 15 months of like since the day I began the process. So I started December of 2022 and I broke my legs to get taller. So I initially did my upper legs first. That took 3 months. And I got to like 5'9". I was like, it's not enough. And then I did it again 3 weeks after I finished the first surgery for another 3 months where I broke my lower legs. So all the bones in my legs are broken and in the process of healing. But I did that to get to the 6 foot mark.
Okay.
Wow.
I know
So
that's
tell us what
interesting.
inspired you to do that.
Man, I was in a messed up place, like mentally. When I got out the military, I struggled really bad with loss of identity because that's who I was for like pretty much since I was 18 years old. I joined, that's who I was. It got me away from the life that I was in. And once I got out, I fell into a lot of different things. I fell into a lot of different women, a lot of different like drugs, alcohol, things like that. And I was just kind of lost trying to find myself. And I went through a lot. And I kind of hit a point in my life where actually my daughter saw me really, really drunk one day, like throwing up everywhere. And I realized kind of that this is the example I'm setting for her. So after that, I went celibate, sober for like a year and a half. And I was like, I want to improve my life. So I want to improve myself mentally, physically, spiritually. And I always hated my height. So I was like, okay, cool. In the process of trying to become the man that I want to be, I want to look the way that I want to look too. So I also did surgery. I started taking better care of myself. I started getting in the gym. I started reading, writing, everything you could think of, meditating just to kind of get my head in order because I said my daughter was watching everything. She still recounts it. Like she's seen a lot that she shouldn't have seen.
So, in the process of you deciding to do the surgery, how did you do your research? Like, how did you look at your doctor?
Look. So I just Googled how to get taller. I literally Googled how to get
Wow.
taller. I was like, because I always hated my height. I was 5'5". So the internet pushed this whole thing that I struggle with women, which I never really did, but I did struggle with my height. I hated that. And I've never really been rejected for it, but I've definitely had women that I was dealing with comment on it, like in a joking manner. And I hated it. I felt like so belittled as a man. But I've had that happen a few times. And I just Googled one day. I was like, oh, like how to get taller. So I'm, of course, stretching, all that stuff came up. And then something said limb lengthening. This is all in 2022. Something said limb lengthening. I'm like, what's that? I look into it a little bit. I decide, like, I'm a man that, like, I make decisions. I don't like to overthink things. So I make decisions. I did enough research to be satisfied. Took me about 2-3 days. And I called, and I was going to get it done here in America. But they could only get me to, like, 5'9". So I was like, and that's with 2 surgeries, 5'9", 5'10".
Oh, wow.
So that's with 2 surgeries, and it was gonna cost me like $150,000. So I'm like, okay,
Oh,
cool.
good gracious.
Then, like a week before my surgery in America, I do more research as the day is coming up. I find a place in Turkey that can get me taller for cheaper. Like it was like $70,000 cheaper, and I was like, and they could get me like taller. And I was like, all right, cool. Like I'm gonna go with that. Like. And I did my research on them. They were the only facility in the world that did the surgery and had a rehabilitation center along with the surgery. So that's how I ended up going with them.
And which doctor was it?
It was Dr. Halil in Istanbul, Turkey.
Okay.
Wow. That is something. Okay,
Yes.
so you talked about the surgery, the cost of the surgery.
Yes.
So was that for both The upper and the lower limbs, or that was just
Well,
for one?
so in America it was like 85,000 for lower and 70 for upper, and then in Turkey it was like 40 for both.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
So, yeah, that's
How long
what-
did you have to stay over there?
I was over there 6 months.
Okay.
Really? And
Did
what did
you-
you think about it? The
Thought
whole
it was
experience
cool.
overall.
I thought it was cool. Like, you have to understand, a lot of people, so I have changed tremendously as a man, and a lot of people think it has to do with height, when in reality, I had nothing but time with myself. Like, nothing but time with myself, nothing but time with my thoughts. Like, there was nothing to do. So all I did was focus on music, because I'm a rapper. So all I did was focus on music, and I was working out like 8 hours a day in the gym. So it just kind of, I had no choice but to work on self-improvement. Like, they thought I was crazy over there because all I cared about was trying to be a better version of myself. Nothing else. Like, I couldn't afford distractions. And I've been on that journey pretty much this entire time, even after returning home, like, just focused.
Okay.
So, as far as with us, so we've had surgery before, but we wore garments and things like that. Is that involved with your surgery process?
I had mechanical devices in my legs. It's actually a lot more simple than you would think. Complicated to others, but simple to me. But they put basically these devices in my legs that broke the bone. Well, they broke the bone. They surgically cut it down the middle, like dead center, and then it was pulled apart day by day by day. Like, I had to wear pants that like could unbutton at the side, so because the devices literally stuck out of my legs, like they were protruding from my legs. So I had to wear pants that unbutton, or they would cut your pants or whatever. And I pretty much wore those for 6 months. Like, I was in the center pretty much most of the time. Occasionally we would go out to the mall or something, but you don't really want to be out in the mall with open wounds.
Yeah.
Like, because like I said, the wounds are open, the device is sticking out of your legs because there's metal pins that go through the device that go through your bones and come out the other side. And that's pretty much how it works.
How painful was it?
The worst pain, one of the worst pains I've ever felt in my life.
Like every day for like a couple
Every
of
day,
days?
Every day. So the wounds are open, your bone, everything is being stretched out. The muscles, the tendons, everything is being stretched out day by day. So you're in consistent pain. When I first woke up, I couldn't even like move my legs. I was in shock like from the pain. But I was in the military and I did some pretty crazy things in the military. I even went for special forces while I was in. So I've always practiced this concept of calm the storm. So I laugh when I'm in pain, which is another reason they thought I was crazy. But, you know, it worked for me. It worked for me. And also, I have this, I don't know why, but I've always had this thing with pain where, like, it brings me comfort. It lets me know that I'm alive. I know it's always been a weird thing for me, though.
My cousin told me that he's a Marine, and yeah, that's what he's told me.
Yeah.
He knows he's alive.
Yeah, it just,
Yeah.
because
I've heard that before too.
due to my time in the military, it's times where I've lost touch with reality, lost touch with life. So whenever I am in pain, it kind of like brings me back, and I'm like, it's more comforting than anything. So people think I'm crazy, but I had a lot of fun during this entire process. Has been fun for me. It gives me something to focus on. Like, I have something to focus on every day I wake up. You know what I mean?
Is there anything you have to do in particular to maintain the height?
Not necessarily. So the rods are very strong, but you have to be very careful with the weight that you apply to them. They do have a weight limit. So if they break, obviously you can lose height. But other than that, there's pretty much nothing you have to do. You do have to take care of yourself in order to walk properly again. A lot of people, I realize, don't take it so serious. Like, a lot of people do this surgery. A lot of people just don't know. I just realized they don't take the recovery portion serious.
Oh, that's yeah.
Which doesn't make sense to me, because I'm like, I want to like get back to 100%.
Yeah,
So you have to maintain a certain weight.
that's what. Yeah.
Well, fortunately for me, I'm way off. I'm only like, I've put on 50 pounds since surgery, but I'm still way off. It's like upwards of over 300, 400
Oh,
pounds.
Wow.
okay.
So I'm nowhere near.
Oh,
That's a
okay,
long
okay, okay.
way.
So they hold a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The only thing for me is I have to be more thoughtful of the fact that for me it's multiple surgeries. So it's both upper and lower, so I have to be cognizant of that. But I'm also like a bit of a daredevil, so I push it. They can't stand me. I push it, but I'm a man that walks on faith, and I'm like, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
It's kind of my thing.
So when you went there, were you in charge of your own wound care, or did they do all of that for you?
They did all of it for us. Like I said, this is the only one that has a rehabilitation center. So they come to your room every day. They check your bandages. They change your bandages every 3 days. They clean the wounds. They
It's like
take
staying
care
in
of
a hospital,
infection. Yeah,
in a
it's
facility.
like that. But it was pretty cool. They had like a little like they had like a lobby where everybody would go and mingle and everything. They did like game nights, things to keep people's mind distracted, because you're in a building full of people crying all the time.
my
Grown men. There's women there too. Like, it's painful.
Women do it?
No, women do it.
Like, I understand,
A
like,
good amount of women do it.
I guess if you want to be models.
if
So
maybe,
that's been the thing.
Maybe.
Flight attendants,
Yeah.
models. A lot of women say that. So what I've been told, and even from being back, a lot of women actually are interested in surgery. They tell me they get tired of being treated like little kids or something like that. Like, I get that a lot.
Really?
I feel like taller men do look at me as a little child. I mean, because I'm so short. I'm like a little girl.
Yeah, I heard that from women a lot. Like, they feel like they're looked at a little bit different. They want to be, and it's also a lot of career stuff for them as well. A lot of men do say it's to improve their chances with women, and to get more respect from men, because a lot of people don't realize men are really hard on men. Like, everybody laughed, but I'm
That's
like,
true.
I've never. Everybody laughed at me because the way they pushed my story, but like I said, it wasn't true. I was like, women never really gave me a hard time. There's been commentary, and I always hated it, but I didn't say anything. But men gave me a way harder time. You have to think, I was in the military. Like, I constantly was in a state of having to prove myself all the time. Like, even growing up, I was constantly in a state of having to prove myself because I was considered a small man. You know what I mean? And it wasn't even like I was super small. I was 5'5". So like, I had to do everything else to counteract. Like, I had to put on weight and do all these different things, and somehow be bigger than other men and still be considered a small man. I hated it.
Did you play any sports in school?
I did not. So that's one thing I wish I did, but I always just thought I was too short, so I just didn't try. But I was very good at football and pretty decent at basketball. But I always felt I was too
But you
short.
just felt like you was too short, so you never tried out or anything. That is crazy. So as far as like finances, 40,000, 6 months in Turkey, how did you manage? Did you save?
Well, before I converted to a full-time rapper, I owned my own business. So once I got out the military, I jumped straight into business. And fortunately, like, I'm not someone that takes no for an answer. Like I said, when I put my mind to something, I put my mind to something. So even though I was going through all the things that I was going through mentally, my mind has always been the same, which is why I've always been successful in military. No matter what I do, I've always succeed at it. So fortunately, like I said, I ran a business. I pretty much was able to put enough aside for years.
Okay.
So I was able to do the surgery. I did that twice, spent $80,000 there. I haven't worked for anyone else in like 3 years now. So, but I gave up business to pursue full-time rap career. That's what I've always wanted, just didn't have the.
Okay.
But like I said, I spent the last year working on that. But yeah, I fortunately was very savvy when it comes to talking to people. You know what I mean? Because a lot of mine was customer service, I would say. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
so.
And so, as far as your daughter, because she's here now,
She was,
where was she did she go with you?
She was with her mother.
Okay.
She was with her mother the entire time. We talked every day. And unfortunately, so since being home, I have dedicated myself to being more present as a father, which is why I ended up moving from Chicago to Georgia. Because although I've always been in my daughter's life, I haven't always physically been there. Like, I moved around a lot in the military. When I got out, I still was living in another state, so she would see me because I would travel to her. And over time, that becomes more of a task. So she would see me like 1 or 2 times a month. Now she sees me every weekend, every holiday, every break. Like, no matter, the only time she doesn't see me is when I'm on the road for work. So she sees me pretty much all the time. Even when I leave, I'll go for a performance or I'll go for an event or I'll go for something. I always come back as soon as I possibly can, which is usually like Sundays. I'll come back as soon as I possibly can just so she sees my face before she goes back with her mom. Because I grew up without a father, and I realized a lot of my mental things that I dealt with came from me never being taught what it means to be a man, me never being taught what it means to be strong, mentally strong, and being able to overcome hurdles in life. Because as a man, that's my job. I have to be there. I have to be the leader of the family, so I have to be mentally tough for everything. But I was never taught that. I had to teach myself that through this process that I went through. So I have to make sure I'm her strength as well, because she's a little girl. So, yeah, I make sure she sees me. I make sure she sees me like working, sees me overcoming trials. She's been to some of my performances. She sees me working in the studio. I work gym 7 days a week because I don't want her to remember me as the broken man that I was. I want her to know me as a man that's just trying to be his best.
Yeah.
Has she made any type of comment towards your surgery, like your results afterwards?
She thinks it's cool. She wants me to go back. She wants me to be the biggest man ever.
And then as a little girl, your dad is always the biggest man in your life, no matter
Your
the height.
hero.
So I have a lot of sisters. I've dealt with a lot of women. I have dealt with like friends, relationships, interactions, my mother, sisters, family. And unfortunately, majority of the women I knew grew up without a father. And unfortunately, they deal with a lot of trauma. They deal with a lot of things. They deal with a lot of like mental things. They lives are usually chaotic. And I don't want that for my child. Just after I learned to think with this instead of, everything else, and really listen to people talk, because I was never a man that really listened to anyone. I didn't care what people said. I only cared what I wanted. As I learned to listen, man, there's a lot of broken people out here, men, women,
most
men,
definitely.
women alike. So
I'll tell you.
my business had to do with talking to people, talking people through their problems. I was, and so a lot of people don't know this about me. I was going to be a doctor before I'm a man that keeps things moving. But before I started my business, I was in school going to be a doctor. So I have a few degrees, and then I changed my mind, and it's all led me to this path. But I talked to a lot of people. I deal with a lot of people. I was going to be a psychologist or a surgeon, but along the way, I did a lot of internships and things like that. It's a lot of broken people out here, like men, women, and it stems a lot from. I realized a lot of people don't even know what a man looks like a real, genuine man. I was one of those men, and I really had to find myself because I was not mentally, I was physically strong. I was mentally strong when it came to certain things, but when it came to life, I was not mentally strong. So I had to find that in myself. And like I said, I talked to a lot of people, and I realized a lot of people don't have that. So I don't want her to lack that presence of a strong male figure in her life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I've realized how important that is, which is I've circled my entire life around my new career and my daughter and recovery. That's it. I don't, like I said, I've completely encapsulated my life around these things.
Do you feel like your surgery has helped your career? Do you feel like you were more looked down on because of your height before?
The thing is, I was always wanted to be a rapper. Just didn't have that moxie, that kind of, rappers have to carry a certain confidence. Before the surgery, I did performances, I did things. But unfortunately, I was with this girl, and she met me through music, but as she seen where things were kind of going, she didn't like it. She pushed me more into she wanted me to focus more on business because she didn't like the attention I got for doing music from other women. So business became my main focus. I dropped the thing that I loved and started doing the thing that I was good at for her. And she was also someone that always commented on my height. And I was crazy about this girl, and she would not let it go. She was always talking about it. Always, you're the smallest guy I ever been with. I usually go for guys that's like this, like that, but there's something about you. And to her, it was a compliment. To me, I'm like, bro, this is demeaning. I'm like,
Very
yo.
demeaning.
I'm like, to her, it was a compliment because she was like, you're special to me. And I'm like, nah, bro, I don't want to hear the fact that you ain't. I'm like, a man doesn't want to hear, oh yeah, you're the smallest man. She even said to me one time, she was like, and I've had multiple women say it to me, and she was like, I've questioned your ability to protect me, and I was like, I'm trained in firearms. I'm from Chicago. been in the military. I'm trained in hand-to-hand combat. I've been in a lot of fights. I can box. I can do a lot of things. I can do martial arts. I was like, I don't know why you would ever question. I've never let anyone, like, we had situations where people stepped out the wrong way, and I've never allowed it. I'm like, I don't even know how you could question that. And she was like, it's a mental thing. Like, my mind can't process the fact that she was like, we're the same size. And she was like, and if a man does something to me, there's nothing I can do. And I'm like, I'm a man.
Yeah, there's a difference.
There's a
still.
difference. But she wasn't, I've only had about maybe 3 women say that to me. But I'm like, the fact that you even have to question my ability to protect you is kind of insulting to me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and a lot of people don't realize I've dealt with a lot of men that's bigger than me. And I'm like, height plays a part, strength plays a part, but it's more about how you're able to handle yourself in these things. So I'm like, it's crazy, but it's the way of the world. Like, it's, if I see a larger man and a smaller man get into a fight, of course I would be like, okay, well, I see who has the leverage here. But the way that she put it to me just kind of took me back. And that's when I really, so I always hated my height, but it didn't become an insecurity until this girl. This particular girl made it an insecurity. And when I told her I was going to get height surgery, she was completely against it. Like, I told her to come with me. I told her I would take care of her. She didn't have to work. She didn't have to worry about anything. Come with me.
Jesus.
She said,
Look at Fred.
Okay.
man,
Fred would have been on that
One way. Okay.
she
flight. One
did
way.
not,
We got to get back, Fred.
she did not support it. So she didn't like, she felt like it would bring more attention from women. She didn't like the fact that I was getting attention from mainly, so her friend circle would like try to get at me or whatever. And she didn't like
What?
that. Yeah, she didn't like that.
Girl, I wish you
What
would.
type of friend?
Yeah.
I'm just
At least-
playing.
God. Knock
Two
your
of
head
them.
off, E.
But you like, it was just the way things were at that time in my life. But she did not support it at all.
Where is she at now? Who
Same-
knows?
same
Hitting up
place
that
she
phone.
was. Yeah, she done called a few times.
Hitting up that phone. You know, of course.
After she didn't
you know.
support me, I realized she didn't support anything I wanted to do, because I told her my dream was to be a rapper, and she was like,
Oh,
everybody
that's
wants to
true.
rap.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I master anything I do. I was like, I dedicate myself to anything I do. And then she was a part of the reason that I was caught up in the world that I was in at that time anyway, where I was so far off track after I got out. So I found the strength to sever ties, because I was crazy about this girl. I found the strength to sever
Soul
ties.
ties.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
That stuff is real.
She taught me some things I didn't know existed. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to tell you, Lord, it
She
is.
taught me some stuff that I didn't know it. She taught me some things, and yeah, I had to sever that soul tie, because that was definitely
It's
that was
rough.
probably the hardest female I ever had to let go in my life, because
He gonna call her tonight, baby.
nah. See, I don't think about her, because I stopped talking to her when I got on the flight. I told her, I was like, you know what? I stopped talking to her when I got on the flight to go do surgery. I was like, you know what? I'm taking control of my life. I'm doing the things that I want to do. I can't let life hold me back. I can't let anyone hold me back. I'm doing the things that I want to do in my life. Because she even tried to convince. So when I made the decision to want to move closer to my daughter, she threw a fit. She threw a fit.
Well,
Oh,
she
yeah,
was
nah,
jealous
she was-
hearted.
yeah.
She was jealous
She
hearted.
threw a
Yeah.
fit. She wanted me to live
That's
near her.
crazy.
And I'm like,
Oh, you definitely got
I
that.
told her, I
I
said,
would-
you
yeah.
grew up without a father. And I'm like, you grew up without a father, and the conversations we have, why would you ever want that for my daughter? And she was like, you're in your daughter's life. And I was like, but I could be there physically.
Yeah.
And she threw a fit. And she was very manipulative. She literally got in my head, like, she was like, no, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I really had to cut those ties, because she was someone that was very good at, like, manipulating people's thought processes. But that was her specialty.
She was a narcissist,
Yeah.
basically.
I won't put any titles on it.
She was her.
But she had some healing to do herself, which
Right.
she did after I cut those ties. She went through some stuff, and she went on a process to healing herself. I don't know where she at in that process. She's called a couple times, but
Oh, you're healed. She's healed.
nah.
Nah.
I'm focused. I'm focused.
She was focused. That's
don't-
a
Yeah,
good way to
sometimes
be.
you can't spin the block on
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a man
Well,
that does
nobody.
second chances.
Oh, that makes sense.
I don't do second chances. Like, I don't. Things didn't end necessarily bad, but I don't repeat anything I do.
And I know you said you never had a problem getting women, but do you feel like now that you are taller, that you attract a different caliber of women?
So I will say a couple things on that. I will say, and I haven't tied it to, because people don't admit, like, some people admit they know me, some people don't. And I didn't realize how big it was because I don't do the internet much. I post just to kind of keep people engaged
Right.
while I'm working on things in the dark
Right.
for my music career. So I don't really care much for social media. If I could do my career without it, I would. I don't get on it. I don't watch people. I just kind of,
Right.
yeah, it's one of those things. Like I stay focused on me. But I will say, I don't know if it's from people who recognize me or from height or whatever, but I get a lot of compliments from women. I get approached by women, which I will say most of my life I've done the approaching. I've been successful at approaching women, but it's been more rare. It's been more rare. It's happened, but it's been more rare that women approach me. But I'm talking about they are brazen. They blatantly walk up to me and give me compliments. Like they say things that kind of catch me off guard because I'm like, oh, like that's
You
new.
saying this to a stranger?
I'm like, that's new.
Oh, that's wild right there, baby. That's
But
wild.
That's
like,
that new age.
they-
You gonna do what? You gonna
I would say women are brazen because they literally like don't know me. I'm a stranger. They walk up and like I notice a lot of women like approach by touch. So they'll touch me very gently somewhere. Usually like
Somewhere?
no. I mean like usually like
arm
my
or
arm and
something.
shoulder to get my
Yeah,
attention
yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm usually like locked in. Like I
Right.
lock in and like they'll like rub my arm or rub my shoulder or they'll like give me a compliment or whatever. And yeah, the caliber of women has increased significantly, but that's more so social media. Like women on social media.
Yeah.
Social media is a
Yeah.
beast. in
Yeah. So
itself.
my inbox was
Flooded.
it's slowed down, but I still get hit up by women pretty often in social. But at the same time, I'm more of a man that one, I'm focused on. I'm not really in that world right now of dating. But two, I like in person. It's something about in person.
In person is so much better. I
like
love
the-
going out and just put my phone away and interacting with that person.
Yeah, so I don't really do like online and all that stuff. I prefer in person. I prefer the whole like approach in person, the excitement of it, the will she, won't she. I like that. It's been different now that
And she will.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, I laugh because I haven't really been turned in more of my adult life. I haven't really been turned down much. Like in more of my adult life, especially since the age of 24. 24, I kind of started getting some more whereabouts about myself. I started kind of finding my look. I had waves. I dressed really nice. Like, so 24, I had nice things. So 24 was when things really started to look up for me. But I haven't really been rejected much. But it's happened. It happens to all of us. But I will say the one girl that I did deal with, she was an ego hit. So, but my ego's back intact now.
Okay.
I know that's right. It's crazy. People don't talk about it, but most of the people I know that had surgery, they are not with whoever they were with when they had surgery. Like I'm not, and it's something that people don't really talk about.
Moving on up.
Yeah, and I don't think I feel like I'm better now. I just feel like when you start going through that type of process, you realize that, wow, you've been jealous of me this whole time.
So I've learned throughout this process that people are out for self-interest. Most people are out for self-interest. And I never, because I've always been a very giving person. I care about people and I've learned to put my feelings up because when you care about people, they take advantage. And it's like, it's sad because it's like, you can't care. Like, but yeah, it's exactly what you said. And I'll be honest, surgery being taller didn't make me feel any different. Like, it's cool. I love the way I look. I love it. It goes with like who I am. It fits me. I do see myself a little different. But I tell people, like, if you're looking for an answer, I wouldn't jump into surgery. You gotta fix this first. I did it in
Most
reverse.
definitely.
I did it in reverse and didn't realize, like, I look in the mirror and I'd be like, I don't look that different. Like, I love it, but
Right.
I don't see myself like extremely different. And I say, unfortunately, a lot of the men that did the surgery, the women, they same as they were. Like, they're happy. But a lot of men I've talked to, they do not feel any different. They want to do another surgery. They're not happy. Like, they don't feel like their life was any different. And I told us that this isn't the end all be all. This isn't the answer. Just
Right.
make it part of your solution.
Right.
Like, I really had to learn. I never knew what self-love was. I've always liked myself, but I never knew what it meant to love yourself. And as I learned that was a whole different ballpark. Because then I'm like, oh, you can't tell me nothing. Like,
Right.
you can't tell me nothing. You can't act however you want to act with me. I have rules and boundaries, and I'm like, second you gotta
That's it.
go.
You got to go.
But
that's it.
that's me being so comfortable with myself when I'm like, I don't have to accept anything. You know what I mean? But it's just one of those things. But I'm very happy I did surgery. But I definitely tell people don't make it the answer, because I realized a lot of men that I talked to thought this was going to be like the grand thing that changed your entire lives.
Right.
One dude even told me, he was like, because I will admit, I did very well with the ladies in the center as well.
Right.
But I was a black man in a foreign country, so you know how that goes. So I did very well for myself. And one man told me there, he's like, you seem very good with women. I was like, well, it's just conversation more than anything. This man tells me, he's from France. He tells me, I'm going to come to America with you. The women in my country hate me. He was 5'11", did the surgery to get to like 6'1". I was like, bro, it's not much of a difference.
That is crazy.
5'11" is pretty tall.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's not much of a difference, bro. Like, if you wasn't doing good, then he's like, the women in his country hate him. So he said he was going to come to America and try here. I was like, bro, if you're not doing good in
worse
France,
here.
like, you're not going.
Worse here.
But I told him, and I won't give any more information about him, like as far as his features, but I just told him, I was like, bro, you got a lot of things to work on. Like, I won't give any details, but I was like, you don't take care of yourself. And what I tell a lot of men, because a lot of men flood my inbox too, and it's sad out here. Like the things that they say to me, I feel so sad for them. I feel sad
I'm
for them.
surprised by that, because a lot of men were going ham in those comments.
They do that and then make fake accounts and mention, like, I have tons of men, like the women all message me from their real accounts, and then tons of men making fake accounts with no pictures, with nothing on them, asking me all these questions, all this information. I have men paying me like $200 hours to talk about the surgery. Like, yeah, it's that serious. A lot, I mean, flooded.
We
Like,
underpriced.
Well,
flooded.
but you
That's
know what I
crazy.
think? I think that a lot of times, like you were saying earlier, I think people think that surgery is the answer to their life. They feel like once I fix this, like I'm gonna be famous. I'm
That
gonna,
wasn't-
I'm gonna get on Instagram and post my pictures, and I'm gonna blow up, and this is gonna be it for me. And
The thing is, I did not expect to go viral. I didn't even, to me, it wasn't such a foreign concept. I was like, who wouldn't want to be taller? When I started posting, I was just posting for fun. And then all of a sudden I woke up and I had like went viral. And then, but the way I went viral, the world made a joke out of me. And I was like, okay, well, for a while, I didn't care. But then I was like, this is counteracting what I'm doing with my music. So eventually I kind of let up on showing people my progress, because the thing is, I've been making amazing progress. But I was like, no matter what I show the world, they always have something to say. So I'm like,
Always.
you know what? I'm going to just show y'all who I really am, because the internet turned my story into clickbait. So the story that went viral was like, oh, man gets rejected by women. And what I found out later was another man went viral in America for the surgery. They used his story on top of because I got more height than him. So they used his story on top of my, like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Right.
Because he went viral too, but less viral.
right,
So I was like, man, but for a while I fed into it. I was showing the world my recovery, and my whole thing was I just wanted to show people that anything is possible,
right.
because I'm a man that believes.
But they took it and
anything is
ran with
possible.
it.
And I'm like, okay, y'all turn me into a joke, and it's counteracting what I'm doing with my music. So I'm like, I'm gonna just show y'all who I really am. And it's been a hurdle getting people to see me as an artist, but like I'm a man that doesn't fail at anything I do. So one day at a time, one fan at a time, one person at a time, they will have no way to deny me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Life is all about faith and work, and that's it. Like, from my personal experience, faith and work, I've accomplished every single thing I've set my mind to. And I laugh because, like, people make me this joke, and I laugh because I'm like, man, you don't understand. Like, even though I had hurdles in my life, even though I've done things I'm not proud of, I'm like, I'm a man with multiple degrees, a man that succeeded at business, a man that succeeded at military. I've broken records. I conquered this surgery. I'm a man that shouldn't be doing the things I can do. I'm only 15 months into, matter of fact, I'm only 10 months into recovery. My surgery took me 6 months total. There's people that did most people that did one surgery are still on crutches right now.
Oh my.
I was off. So the center thought I was crazy. I got up and started walking 2 days after my surgery with my leg, like, and it was excruciating pain. And they were like, how are you walking? I was like, I don't know. And then I got to the center and I was walking with no support. Like no, I have videos of me, like I had a waddle, but this is within the same week of me getting surgery. I was walking without using anything. And they were baffled. And I was like, well, I just told myself I was going to do it no matter what. And then they told me, they was like, a lot of people say they're going to do 2 surgeries and surgery is so painful. They get the first one and they're like, nah. And I was like,
we know
I was
about
like,
that.
oh, I'm going to do it.
Right.
I said, I'm going to do it. Like, and they was like, I tried to pay them up front in the beginning. It was like, nah, most people change their mind. Most people don't finish the first surgery. People come here and they get an inch or two and be like, I'm done. I finished my surgery and turned around and get the second one 3 weeks later. And I smiled every single day because I was like, like I said, I refuse to believe God put me on this earth not to have the things that I want. So I'm a man that succeeds at everything. I have to.
So what is the process supposed to be like? Like, what's the step by step? Like, you come out of surgery and then they expect you to walk with crutches, and then they expect you to.
So you come out of surgery. You for the first little while you can't walk. Most people can't walk. Some beat that odd, but it's very hard. Like after 5 days in the hospital, they bring you back to the center, usually in a wheelchair. Most people in a wheelchair. But for me, because there's like you have to go through the hospital, you have to go through everything. For me, I came back in a walker. Like, so I used my walker. So I was doing laps around. I ended up staying in the hospital for 10 days because they thought my legs were so inflamed, but I just had muscular legs. Like they're not, they weren't accustomed to dealing with black people. So like I had very muscular legs and they just thought the doctors thought they were extremely swollen because the doctors that was monitoring me wasn't the same doctor that does the surgery.
Gotcha.
So they just thought I was extremely inflamed until they realized that's just my legs.
It's your genetics.
Yeah. So they like every single day I got up and I did laps around the hospital with my walker every single day. And
Regardless of how much pain you was in.
I don't care about pain. Like I was refusing pain meds because I'm more of a naturalist. Like I'm really healthy. So I was refusing pain meds. But I was walking around the hospital. It was extremely painful to lay down, so I preferred to walk anyway because you literally have these devices sticking out of your legs and it was poking into the hospital bed. Like so it was extremely painful for me. So like and it's hard to sleep because they're sticking out of you. So you can't lay on your side. It's pretty hard to get on your stomach, so sleep on your back. But I wasn't really sleeping. I would go 3-4 nights without sleep until my body collapsed from exhaustion. Like it was times I fell asleep working out in the gym. But yeah, so you get the surgery. Typically after 5 days, they bring you back to the clinic and they bring you back to the rehabilitation center in a wheelchair, and they begin your recovery process. So most people spend the first few days in their room until they're really like getting to walking with their walker more. Most people don't start using crutches until about 2 months in, but sometimes 1 month in. But you pretty much going to rehabilitation every day. You do physiotherapy. They're retraining your muscles. They're trying to keep your muscles flexible because everything's been stretched out, so it stiffens up. You do that, and that's pretty much the bulk of it. Like your life is yours. You do physiotherapy for an hour every day, and then you carry on with the rest of your day however you see fit.
Now, was it mandatory for you to stay over there for 6 months?
No, you can come back.
You can come back.
So I was gonna come back until the owner talked to me, and the owner was saying like he think it would be more suitable to stay there because of risk of infection and everything like that. And then I was like, all right, cool. There is another surgery that you can get where everything is internal, but that took me right back up to the old price. And I was like, and the nails are streaker. The nails are weaker. So yeah, I was like, well, I didn't come overseas to pay what I was about to pay in America, so
that's crazy.
You know what I mean? So it was like 150, 160 to do the all internal, and like I said, the nails are weaker. And I knew I was gonna be going hard with recovery. Like I'm not supposed to be doing most of the things that I do, but I don't really care. So
How does your family feel about it?
my dad took it weird. He didn't understand why I did it, and he was saying like my story makes me look bad like on social media, but it did. It made me a laughing stock. And I told him, I was like, that's not my story. And I was like, eventually this will come full circle. It will get to a point one day that I can actually tell my story. I was like, but people are going to judge you no matter what you do. You might as well do what you want to do. I told him I didn't expect to go viral. It just happened. But at the same time, I do what I want. Anybody's going to tell me what to do in my life. So he was confused by it. Now he's kind of more adjusted to the idea of it. He is confused by the idea of wanting to be a larger man because he is a large man. He's like 6'1", big man.
So you took
And he
your height
says he
from your
hates it.
mom?
Yeah. My mom's like 4'11". So he hates being big. He said he feels awkward sometimes around, like he feels like people look at him like a giant or whatever. I said that's a dream for me.
Yeah.
But the men on my dad's side of the family, majority are tall. Men on my mom's side, I don't know many of them, but they're shorter. But me and my dad actually didn't start really kindling a relationship until my 20s. So, yeah.
And I'm here to vouch for you. He did not have any troubles getting the ladies. Okay.
We actually we worked together.
Yeah, a long time ago. We worked at Delta together. What was it, 2 years ago?
Yeah, she knew me.
Yeah.
And you was getting the women then, huh?
He was getting the women. I was trying to keep the men up off me.
She was. I was one of them at the time. I was one of them at the time. Yeah. Like I said, I haven't been rejected much, but she told me I was too young at the time or something like that.
Yeah, because you're younger than me.
I am.
How old are you?
I'm 28.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you are young.
So,
And I'm 30 fine-ish.
Okay,
You know.
35-ish. Okay, girl.
The funny thing is, she was one of the only women, one of two at the job to actually say I was too young because everybody there was older than me. I was 18 when I went to that job, and everybody there was older. But I did my thing.
And I had two kids. It was nothing. We could have.
I worked hard. I worked 7 days a week when I was there. I was like, I could do a little something. I could make something happen.
And so, as far as your height, do you feel like your overall quality of life has changed?
Definitely, but because, like I said, I spend so much time working on myself.
yourself.
So my life is amazing. Like, I love my life. It's peaceful. I'm happy. I can say for the first time, and sounds crazy, I've never woke up and just been like, oh, I'm grateful to be alive. Like, I've always been kind of healing from trauma without realizing, or dealing with trauma that I didn't realize. Like I said, I went through a lot growing up too. Like, from Chicago, then I moved to Atlanta. A lot of things happened in my life. I've experienced a lot, and then I just went into the military, which was much more trauma. So I didn't realize that I needed to heal. I was a broken man, but my quality of life is significantly better. My manner of thinking is different. Like, I don't see life the same way I once saw it. So I usually wake up and I'm just grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to take a breath.
Okay.
As far as your diet, because you still have bones that are healing, how do you help that with your diet?
So I take vitamin D. I take plenty of vitamins. I've always taken, well, as I've been on my naturalist thing, I've taken vitamins to help with, bone healing. Even before I got the surgery, when I knew I was going to do it, blood flow is good for promoting bone healing. So I work out a lot. I eat like 8 times a day. And my diet is very clean. I eat very healthy. I cook every Sunday, So I cook every Sunday. I eat my meal prep throughout the week. I take my vitamins. I drink bone broth, which is disgusting, but I've been drinking it for like a year and a half. My bone healing is amazing, actually. Much more progressed, but in black people, so I've only known a few black people do the surgery, but I will say the surgery has been much easier for them than anyone else, which I'm not surprised by. I'm not saying that any type of way. I'm just saying like, our recovery has been way better than anyone else's. Like I said, it's people still not walking. All the black people I know that did surgery all have had a pretty smooth recovery. Pretty smooth recovery.
Okay.
Our bone healing has been good. But I did this research before I did it too. So,
Yeah.
So things have been smooth. I'm still in recovery process, but things have been smooth.
All right. Well, we don't want to make this all about your height and surgery. So tell us about your music career.
Yes.
Things have been picking up. So I had to find myself as an artist too. I went through a lot of different things. As a child, as a young man, as a young teenager, I was a different person than I was in the military. Military changed my life. But I found myself not realizing I didn't know who I was. I learned that. I didn't know who I was. So when I first got into music, I've been rapping for a while now. I first got into music when I went through a divorce. And my grandmother died, and I was on deployment, and then a friend died. A lot of things happened at once, and I couldn't find a way to cope. So I got into music, but I never took it serious. It was a hobby. And as I continue, I fell more and more in love with it, but I was a confident person, but I don't think people realize you can be confident and lack confidence in areas of your life.
Oh, most
People
definitely.
don't
Okay.
realize that because people try to say like I was an insecure man. I was like, you can have like insecurities and not be insecure because I was like, I'm pretty
Right.
confident in myself. You have to look at my life. But anyway, so I did music for a while. Once I started getting pretty good, I met the girl that I was talking about. And this was my not first, but a serious relationship since my divorce. You know, after
Gotcha.
divorce, you kind of, so she was a serious relationship. I met her because I was doing music. She was actually at a video shoot. And she loved the fact that I was doing music until we got involved with each other. And she like wanted me to focus on, I was in school. She wanted me to focus on that. She wanted me to focus on my business. And she wanted me to pull away from the artist lifestyle because of
The attention.
Yeah.
The attention, the late
so,
night.
yeah, things like that. But I was good to her though. Like, but she hated the fact that like I get called and fly out, and I was making a name. Obviously, I wasn't big, but I was making a name, and I was getting shows, and it was cool. But as I continued on, I did stray away from music. When I was dealing with her, I started focusing more on business. I started focusing more on school, and eventually business started bringing in so much money, I gave up school. So I finished a few of my degrees, and then I was like, I'm going to focus on one thing because I don't split focus, like too many hands in
Right.
different pots. So did that. Once I stopped dealing with her, I decided that I was like giving myself 100% to the things that I wanted for my life, aka surgery, aka music. So while I was overseas, I just spent all that time like learning different things, studying rap, studying music, trying to learn how to sing, a lot of different things that I involved myself in. I went through a phase of where I was still trying to be the kid that I was, so my music took a turn left, trying to be something that I'm not, honestly. Like, and as I continued to write night after night, study night after night, I learned more about myself, more about who I am, more about my music, and things have recently picked up in the last few months. Like I said, it's still been a hurdle overcoming this whole like how the world views me, like, but it's been a process and I'm loving it. Like, 'cause they will have no choice. But things have taken a turn recently. Like I got to like host one of Offset parties or whatever out in Miami.
I was invited to that party and I didn't go. I was tired.
Man, it was cool. They asked me how did I feel afterwards. I was like, I ain't gonna lie to you. I feel like I'm the star, so it didn't mean nothing to me.
Right.
But I appreciated the opportunity to be around a lot of names because I'm not there yet. Then I got to go to Lotto party. That was cool. But it's just like it's all work for me.
We got invited to that
Yeah,
too.
like I said, it's,
We was on the phone. We was like,
we just
yeah, I'm
be
so
tired. I'm so tired. We
like I
work
said,
like
it's work
dogs,
for me. Like
baby.
this is work. Then I've done a good amount of things. I went to New York Fashion Week, and then I got to perform at the Black Ink Brooklyn. So,
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was
saw
cool.
that.
And I just been working on perfecting my craft. I do a variety of music. Like I rap, sing, do everything. I'm still perfecting my craft as I go, but I've evolved tremendously from where I was. And like I said, eventually the world will have no choice. I'm in the studio 7 days a week. I love music. I actually have a lot of projects that are just waiting in cachet. And originally, I have my team, and my team wanted me to go they wanted me to push my story, like push the story that the internet pushed, and they was like, well, if you make yourself like if you make yourself the laugh, like it makes people harder to laugh at you. So they wanted to push my story and push
that's
my
sad.
push me under my broken broken bones.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hated it because I was like, this is not who I was like, the world has no idea who I am. But as I continued through the process, I was like, nah, I'm gonna do it my way. So I took over my image, took over my persona, took over these things, and I was like, you know what? I still work with my team, enjoy my team, but I was like, I'm gonna make this happen. I was like, I don't care how, I have to make it happen. And I told them, they were saying like, it's gonna be hard to go a different route because this is what the world knows me as. And I also know some pretty famous influencers that have been telling me the same thing, but I'm like, I don't care.
Right.
I don't care. I I don't see myself as a joke. I don't see my process as a joke. I don't see my life as a joke. I definitely don't see my music as a joke. I have dedicated my life to this, especially the last 2 years. And I would dedicate the rest of my life to this. This is what I've loved my entire life, just didn't have what I needed internally to go after it. So I'm like, Wayne said it best. He said, be so good they can't deny you. So that's why I'm practicing, rehearsing. Like, even when I go to the studio, people are shook. When I do shows, people are shook because I've been working on doing full songs, doing songs on one. Like, when I go in the studio, I do an entire song in one breath. When I went to the studio last time, I went to the studio. Like, when I have a studio in my home, and then I go to the studio for professional recording. When I went to my professional studio recording, I went in there and I did song after song after song after song after song. I ended up walking out with like 20 songs. And I was like, I don't come to play. I'm not a man that, like, I have fun. I do have a comedic side, but I'm not a man that plays. I'm a man that works. This is what I...
And get things done.
Yeah, that's why I tell people. I was like, eventually, this whole thing will come full circle. I'm not really stressed about what people say. I'm not really stressed about the whatever people have to say. I believe anyone can get anything done. Like I said, life is all a matter of faith and work. And I've shown myself that because I've done things that are impossible. And as I continue to, I've rebranded myself, like I said, as the man I actually am, rather than what I was being pushed as. And I'm like, I'm gonna just show them.
And people don't realize how important names are in you calling yourself Mr. Broken Bones.
So, and I
you're
hated
no longer broken.
That I hate that. And I'm like, that's why I was like, imagine, because I've performed under that name. And the thing is, I literally, every single time I perform under the name, before I walk out, they laugh. I come out, I do my song, and then they cheering and they asking for my Instagram and they asking, can they talk to me? And I'm like, I'm not about to keep going through I was like, it doesn't affect me. I don't care. But I was like, names are very important. Like, your image is very important. I didn't like that. And like I said, nothing against my team. I didn't like that they was kind of pushing me in the light of like, oh, he's been hurt and this and that and this. Y'all go through things in life, man, and get over it. That's what people don't understand. You get over it.
You do.
Like, this whole process has been me trying to become a best version of myself, not by anybody else's expectations, but by my own. And I'm like, I tell people, this is not just a physical thing. This has been everything. I'm like, because if you watch, before I really started showcasing my music more, if you watch my page, I was always in the gym. I was always working, always doing something to progress myself. People don't know what I do in the dark. So it's like I said, eventually they'll have.
And the surgery wasn't anything that you did for attention either.
I didn't know I was going to go viral. I didn't.
Right.
So now, later, I realized how crazy it is. I realized how crazy it sounds. But at the time when I did it, I was like, oh yeah, like, if anybody had the money to do it, like, especially men, I was like, men understand like the importance of like. And then so my story also went viral. Just so happened to go viral in that era of like when all the stuff started uprising on social media about men's height and men's got to be this and men got to be that. And I'm like, I don't care about all that stuff, because I also realized, I'm like, I tell a lot of people, I don't get on the internet either because it affects the way you think too. But I was like, I tell a lot of people, I'm like, you don't have to be the perfect man. Like, the internet, and I was like, men and women say their things that they want on the internet and then go home, and that's not their real lives. That's not their internet expectations are not real life. That's not what they actually practice in their real life. Yeah. And I'm like, I tell people, I'm like, man, I'm like, a lot of times it's about the different things that you can make her feel. And I was like, a lot of times it's how you deal with women. It's not necessarily like what you have, even though that helps. I was like, you have to look at life like this, especially like, obviously I'm a man, I'm not a woman, so I can't speak with women. But for myself as a man, I'm like, you have to look at yourself like this. I'm like, everything is just another check in the box. You can keep checking the box, but at the end of the day, it's going to be more about how you make her feel, how you make her think about you, how you make her see you. Because I tell a lot of men, I'm like, bro, y'all don't realize this. Women don't always see us how we see ourselves. I'm like, you could see yourself one way, and she could see you 10 times better or 10 times worse. She sees you as an entirely different man than you see yourself. And it's all about how you carry yourself. Because I'm like, that's just how it is. And I've learned this through a lot of conversations, a lot of practice, a lot of work. But I'm like, we're too hard on ourselves sometimes. I say that, but for myself in the beginning, this was to become the perfect man in my eyes. Now it's just to
For
become
yourself.
the best.
Yeah.
I've given up on perfection. Now it's just to become the best version of me.
That's
As
good.
far as surgery, I probably won't be doing anymore. So.
And if there was one piece of advice you can give to anyone that's contemplating having surgery, what would it be?
Do your research and actually make sure you're mentally prepared for the consequences after. A lot of people, this particular surgery, a lot of people think about the 3 months and not after. Like, so for any surgery, hey, make sure that's actually what you want. Do your research. Do your research on the doctor you go with, and really learn to accept yourself before you change yourself. So I don't see any problem with surgery, but I say accept yourself before you change yourself. Otherwise, you'll find yourself on this roller coaster of always seeking the next thing.
Ooh, most
Oh
definitely.
yeah, that's the truth.
Yep. Because I will say, after surgery, my mind just found the next thing that I didn't like, and I was like, but eventually I was like, I don't care about none of that. Like,
Right.
I look in the mirror and I love myself, and I'm like, I'm not perfect, but you can't tell me nothing. So I was like,
Yeah.
my mind just found the next thing that it didn't like, something that I never even considered before, and I was like, I don't
I'm
care about
tripping.
that. Yeah, I was like, I don't care about that. Like, because one thing I always got complimented on was my smile. I always hated it, and then eventually I got over it. And then after surgery, all of a sudden I don't like my smile again, and that lasted all of like a couple months. And I was like, man, I don't care about that. Like,
That's how it is.
Yeah,
I
so I
thought
got
about
over
getting
it.
veneers one time,
Yeah, it's
and I
like,
was
me
like, "What
too.
is wrong with me?"
and I was like, get over it. But man, look, we forget what everybody else think, because everybody else gonna point out all your flaws, and whole time they just doing that so that they don't see their own.
Oh, that was a good
Cause,
one.
'cause, man, we people, we all human. Like, we all have our, you respectfully, no matter what you do, no matter what I do, we're always gonna have our imperfections, whether it's an imperfection to us or imperfection to somebody else.
Right.
All that matters is we love ourselves, and the people that we love us. That's it.
Yes.
I don't care
Right.
about nothing else. I don't care about
Yeah.
what people say. So
Yeah, we appreciate you being here
Yeah.
today.
I appreciate
Thank
you
you
having
so
me.
much.
Tell everyone your social media.
Yes.
Oh, you can find me. Well, I really only use TikTok and Instagram, but you can find me at NTK the Greatest. So, the is DA instead of the.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
yeah.
Any
So,
new music coming out?
Like I said, I've actually over 200 songs, but songs that I'm getting ready to drop. Right now, I'm just doing like a little daily freestyle to let people know I'm an artist.
Okay,
I'm
what
a
kind of
rapper.
freestyle you got for us? What? I mean, this ain't the basement, and then we ain't been tickling nobody, but
It's crazy. not putting you on the spot.
You know,
I did see one of them on Instagram. It was really good.
so
reposted
I like I said, I work like a lot of people don't know. People have no idea, and I'll be honest with you. This is my first time actually saying this. I gave up everything for music, so it's like I'm all in. It's all or nothing right now.
Yeah.
that's
'Cause
good though.
In the last, including the surgery, in the last year and a half, I'm like, mind you, I recently last year gave up my business to focus all my energy on music, because now I'm a man that believes in one pot. I'm all or nothing. That way I can't fail, because I gave it everything I got. I had no choice. But I'm like $250,000 in the whole, like, as far as music, in that sunk in to like going all in. But this is everything, like developing myself, like
Right.
trying to get better, trying to perfect the craft, studio, video shoots, like, and including a like $80,000 surgery. Like, so I invested everything in it, and I'm a man.
But you know, this is the part of life that
pay off.
people don't see.
Yeah, I'm,
People don't see
The
when you're
hard work,
going
the
through
dedication.
and the what you put into trying to become this person that you want to be.
people. I tell people, I was like, what people don't realize is, through every venture, everybody's always thought the same thing. Like, but I tell people, I was like, everybody thinks success is overnight. You see someone successful and you think it's overnight. No matter where they successful in
Right.
life, you think it's overnight, or you think something happened to get them there, or you think, I don't care about your circumstances. I don't care. I tell people, you will not outwork me. You will not. But I'm like, success looks like overnight because you didn't see all the late nights,
That's
the
it.
work.
the tears.
That's it.
You didn't see the tears, the doubts, the prayers, the like,
Your
I can't take this
family.
anymore. The man, I'm never gonna get there. You didn't see all that. All you saw was they were here. Then to you, they were there. But I'm like, when I was younger, I used to think like that. until I started meeting successful people and had these conversations. And I'm grateful for these conversations because I'm like, these conversations changed the way I saw success. Success is not overnight. Success is doing the small things you need to do consistently until you get to where you're going. Success isn't one event. Success is a mindset. So no matter what you do, it's a mindset. Like your lifestyle, my lifestyle, everything you want in life, you have to set your life up around that. Like as far as being an artist, I set my life up around that. As far as fitness, I set my life up around that. But I'm like, it's a mindset. So I'm like, a lot of people like say I wasted $80,000. I was like, you have no idea what my bank account looks like. You don't know where my assets are. You don't know where my investments are. And above all that, what's the biggest investment you can make besides yourself?
Right, that's
You
true.
know what I mean? Like, what's the biggest investment you can make on this earth besides yourself? I think a lot of people are too scared to invest in themselves. And that doesn't
And
just
that's
mean
the problem.
surgery. I just mean like,
In general.
In general,
people
yeah.
are too scared to invest in themselves because we are in a society that no longer practices delayed gratification. We want everything right
Instant.
now.
Instant.
We want instant gratification. We want instant like glorification. And it's like I told my team, I'm like, it could take a while before people see me as an artist. I don't care. I bet you I can get there.
You will get there.
I said, I bet you I get there.
Yeah.
But hey, look, life is work and faith. That's it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we appreciate you being here.
Yes.
I appreciate you having me.
Thank you.
I was late.